Mississippi app, but you can also watch good things. We are on your computer or your mobile device. Just head on over to supertalktv.com, and you'll see that we are speaking with our very own Steve Azar today. He's helping us celebrate the fact that Jerry Lee Lewis, Mississippi's favorite Great Ball of Fire, has received another distinctive honor, and he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Hey, Steve.
Rebecca, hey, what's going on? What's going on?
You know, you are the perfect person to help celebrate this because you, either one of us, know probably what this moment actually meant to Jerry Lee Lewis and his family. So, as a young artist, though, what did Jerry Lee Lewis mean to you as you were sort of carving out your career in country music?
Well, I mean, he was known throughout my household and throughout our music community in the Mississippi Delta, respected immensely for his talent, and he was a pioneer. You know, you got to realize, you're talking about in the 40s, probably mid-40s, you're talking about him in rock and roll. But, the crazy thing, obviously, first, to answer your question, huge influence. Secondly, you talk about being live on stage and mattering and having energy. I mean, he was a game changer when it came to that in the world. But it's interesting it took till 2022 when he had the Great Balls of Fire and a whole lot of shaking going on. Both were number one on the country charts in the mid-50s, right? So he was having country hits, but it ended up being where he ended up being basically a pioneer of rock and roll. And I wonder if there was a line drawn in the sand because of that. And maybe it was a little Hatfield versus McCoy, and people in the country music industry just sort of maybe forgot or wasn't paying attention that he was not country first. He was sort of everything, And so it's interesting it took this long, knowing that he should have been in a long time ago. But amen that he's still alive, and he's such a beautiful man. We gave him a country trail marker this past, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. COVID, I may have my time wrong, but number 34, I think his marker is. And we were in his house in Nesbitt, and it was absolutely an honor, and it was moving, and I'm so happy for him.
I do think it's a great thing that he was still alive to be able to witness the fact that he got inducted. You do feel bad for those that, transitioned on to party with Elvis, and then they're recognized for their trailblazing work. You mentioned that back in the 50s and 60s, but I read where some of his albums, Lewis's albums, like Last Man Standing in 2006, Mean Old Man in 2010, I appreciate that title. He received some of his best sales later in his career, so I think it's a testament. The man just never gave up or never quit.
Well, you don't when you do what we do. I can tell you that there is no, everything that I do, even my radio show, which I've been so blessed to do. I love doing my show on SuperTalk. It is something I look forward to more than people will ever know. It has been a blessing in my life. But with that, I do it in the name of, my name in the Mississippi Minute's a song of mine. So I gave it a home, and I helped it grow up and finally find a purpose. And you as artists, you do everything in the name of the love of making music in our world. So my radio show has everything to do about that to me. It drives people to listen to me musically. And so with him, it just doesn't end. I could never imagine my life not having music or being on stage. Obviously, you're talking about one of the greatest of all time. I'm looking at some. He had a truckload of country hits, and number one records. To Make Love Sweeter for You, There Must Be More to Love Than This, Would You Take Another Chance on Me? All those were number one records in country music, and those were in the late 60s. So you're talking about a couple decades of country hits, and it's amazing it took till 2022 to get him into that. And I just have a feeling that he was so semi-controversial. I think I'm being kind, but he was a rebel. You know what I mean? And you look back, and that rebel changed the world. So Elvis did it. He was a rebel, and I think that's probably why it took so long. But to go into the Hall of Fame with Keith Whitley, that's pretty dang cool, those two.
That is
Pretty
cool.
dang cool.
And it's cool, too, that Mississippi has its country music trail markers out there. You mentioned him was number 34. Steve, I don't know if you recognize that today, October the 19th of 2019, so 3 years ago today, you got your marker on the country music trail. So congratulations to that. And I think folks need to connect the fact we are the birthplace of American music. We usually think, the blues or that's kind of where, and it is where we birthed, but we also have our stake in country music. So do you know much about the trail? How can people find it and learn more about it?
Yeah, listen, first of all, the only reason I'm 32 and he's 34 is because his schedule didn't permit. Mine did, so I got mine done before he did. But the bottom line is I was in his class, that 4, and it was such an honor, and it means the world to me. So for me, you can go to visitmississippi.org, and our trail marker system is there, from the blues trail markers, country trail marker system. Obviously, Marty Stewart is so important in everything that we're doing with that, and he's the best. But you can go and you can literally look at the maps of our trail marker systems, the Freedom Trail, the Writers Trail. But we're on the country trail marker, and you can go eat at Jim's Cafe where my Waiting on Joe video was shot. You can go in Greenville. You can go take a trip down to Nesbitt to where we put where he lives, where he changed his world, moved from the Natchez, Louisiana area all the way from Faraday, Louisiana, Natchez, across the river to Nesbitt, where he made his home a long, long time ago. He's been there probably 70 years, I bet. So that's where his trail marker is. And we were playing in his closet and all the shoes. And you think about Elton John dressing like he did. Well, he probably got it all from Jerry Lee Lewis' style because and I thought about stealing some of those shoes, and I think Marty was looking at it for his museum.
I was supposed to say, Marty Stewart, though, has a shoe thing of his own. I looked at his boots when we were together. I thought, man, them are pretty boots. Yeah. Yeah,
well, I'm sure Marty probably has them, but I'm sure Jerry Lee has given. Marty can get Jerry Lee to do anything, and it was beautiful to be there. C. Ray and I were there. We were all in the room, Kamel, and he was singing, sitting there after he had he was not doing great, but Marty started playing and singing a little bit, and he joined in, and it's that infectious deal with Marty. You have to join in because you can see Marty's in heaven, and Jerry Lee just got inspired, and it was a wonderful day to be a part of something. But our country trail marker system, you can go to visitmississippi.org, you can see the map, and you can roll with it and go from one place to the other. And it's pretty dang cool. Jimmy Rogers, you have a Meridian. You can go where Johnny Cash got arrested, and the whole flower thing, and in Starkville. But it's great. And we just gave Jim Weatherly his at the Ole Miss game I think a few weeks ago, and where he used to roam the football field. It's just pretty cool to celebrate our arts like we're doing. And kudos to Visit Mississippi and our state for doing that and lifting up a history that will, people can come visit. I get people taking pictures by mine all the time, and I'll see them on Facebook, or they'll post it, or
Where is
somebody
your,
will know
Steve?
somebody that knows me.
Where is your country music marker? Where is it?
In front of Jim's Cafe, where I grew up playing music on that street down on Washington Avenue in Greenville. And then Jim's was home of part of one of the big scenes in my Waiting on Joe video. And Evelyn there are great friends. That's
Steve,
Jim's Cafe.
I don't know if there is one or not, so it may be a trick question, but do you know if we have an artist that's on both the blues trail and the country music trail?
Well, I should know that. I would think that, man, if I say something wrong right now,
C. Ray's not going to come get you.
There is an answer, correct?
There is an answer. It doesn't have to be correct, but you can no. But I don't know if there's an answer. I said this could be a trick.
You were tricking
no,
me, but,
that would be good if I knew it too. But I just was thinking, with all the overlap and thinking of Jerry Lee Lewis, who was just inducted to the Country Music Hall of Fame, who started out in sort of more rock and roll, and back then artists had to sort of choose a side of the fence they wanted to be on. Now you feel like as artists you may have more fluidity between different genres. But, and they kind of did. So you're curious if there was anybody who had enough impact on both sides to kind of, make their mark.
we do have a little over 200 blues trail markers, and we've got close to 40 blues country trail markers. And I'm trying to think who it would be, and I'm scared to say.
That's okay, but that's some homework for you to do, Steve, and myself.
I should know better already, so it's bad on me. But I'm scared to say a name, thinking that I'm going to be wrong, and I'm probably right. It's one of those times in class when you know the answer, but you're too scared to raise your hand.
Well, Steve, I'm gonna have to tell you bye and let you ponder on it. And we want everyone to tune in tomorrow and Friday at 1 for In a Mississippi Minute. Thank you so much for your time, and come visit us whenever you're in Jackson. The studio is always open for you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Later on.
All righty, we're moving from trail markers to downtown. We're finding out what's happening around town coming up.